Call the meeting to order. Please rise for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Welcome those here in the audience and those watching on cable this evening. And I'd first like to thank Mrs. Stats for sitting in as acting town administrator this week and for sitting in at our meeting this evening. The first item on our agenda is to sign the November 2nd, 2010 state election warrant. Barbara, you have any comment on this?
No,
just
for
everything.
itself, it is just the warrant for the election, together with 3 questions. I might want to perhaps remind the audience and the voters that there are the 3 questions on this ballot, and one of them is on the front of the ballot, and 2 will be on the back. So to be sure to turn your ballot over to vote the entire ballot.
Will there be a notice in the polling booths about that?
Yes, there will, definitely.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Okay, Mr. Prisco.
Mr. Chairman, I move to sign the November 2nd, 2010 state election warrant.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Prisco, seconded by Mr. Delaney. Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous? And I see our constable is here. Evening, John.
Right on time.
Okay.
On time, just about on time.
Just voted on the election.
We did. So we're moving ahead with the election?
Yeah, we are.
Oh, okay.
So we want us to sign here?
Yep.
Pass
Yeah,
it
you
on?
have to-
Good idea.
There's one thing I was saying, what if we, if anybody comes
Good evening, Steve.
to the podium,
And
try not to
we
have
got a lot
them
of signing to do.
Thank you.
talk from the audience, but to come up to the podium anyway.
Okay.
That might help.
Yeah. Thanks, John.
Very good. This is for Bob?
Believe it?
Yeah.
Sign your own thing?
I said the same thing. That was funny.
Make it to one of our meetings.
I know, they even giving one to Weston and Sampson. I don't know what that's all about.
The last time we gave you
Hey,
notice.
come on, team player.
Who's supposed to give you notice?
I'm gonna put you on my minute list.
To hang your own signature on your own wall.
Oh, yeah.
While we're signing the warrant, anybody that wants to speak, we'd appreciate it if they come up to the podium. We've gotten a lot of complaints from those listening at their homes that they can't always hear the audio. We're trying real hard to get as much of the audio on the cable as possible.
Do we want to take the opportunity to talk about the election articles now, or do you want to do that
No,
later?
no, we're gonna do that later.
Thank you.
Thanks, John.
We're gonna wait for George. If you don't mind. No, we don't mind.
Chris will be here in a few minutes from the CPC for Agatha Way and
Okay. You got a couple members missing tonight,
Mr. Rocco is here, and he was following me in the parking lot.
okay. All right, okay. Speak up when,
Might want to just do the 3 questions.
do what?
Steve had suggested we do the 3 questions as well.
Since
while
we
we
just signed the warrant.
Okay, all right.
Will we start?
You can start, Mr. O'Leary.
Okay, good. Why don't we, just in relation to the ballot questions, in taking a position, again, I would suggest what we do. They did a couple of weeks ago. Question 1, of course, has to do with repealing the tax on the alcohol tax. Question 2, the affordable housing, doing away with 40B. And question 3 is reducing the income tax from sales tax from 6.25 down to 3%. In relation to question 1, the about $110 million which are raised by the through this tax. The monies and proceeds, all of it, are going towards drug rehabilitation, drug and alcohol rehabilitation, education programming, vital services that are being provided to people who are in need. I personally am opposed to repealing at this particular time, and I would, again, urge a no vote. I don't know how you want to handle this, Chairman, each question, or want to just run through it?
Why don't we do one at a time, that way,
All right,
we
so-
won't confuse everybody.
All right, so again, on question one, as far as the repeal of the alcohol tax, I think it provides necessary and vital services to people of the Commonwealth in need, and it's a, if repealed, all of these programs would be eliminated. It would be a sad state of affairs in relation to the quality of life in the Commonwealth, and I think it would be wrong. So I would urge a no vote.
I agree. I'm gonna be voting no on question one myself, for the very similar reasons.
Want me to speak, or you want to speak?
Whomever. Jeff, you wanna go?
Yeah, I can go then.
Keep it sweet, simple.
My perspective is that this is a tax on a tax. It's alcohol, products and beverages are already taxed, and that they're just continuing to add additional taxes. I think there are other ways to satisfy the programs that Mr. O'Leary is talking about through other types of taxation. Reading the summary, I find it kind of, I think from a layman's perspective, confusing in that they talk about alcoholic beverages and alcohol. Excuse me, and alcohol. So I wouldn't support this program because it's a tax on a tax, primarily.
Sean?
I don't disagree with Mr. Yule that it's a tax on a tax. I think it's highly inappropriate for the state legislature to have put it forward to begin with. Also, given the state of the economy that we find ourselves in, given the fact that this week here alone, there was 3 mortgage foreclosures in our transcript, and on average, if you go back probably over the last year, there's at least 3 a week. In addition to nationally, is about a 10% unemployment rate. I can't personally tell people out there to vote in favor of, or vote to strike this tax, because it's a personal decision that people have to make if they're losing their homes as well as unemployed. I can't tell people that they shouldn't be putting money in their pocket. The programs that Mr. O'Leary says that this tax funds will not go away. The funding source may be reduced, but these programs have been there. There's probably additional funding as a result of this tax, but they will not be eliminated. In the court system every day, closely associated with programs that are available, those that are dependent upon alcohol, drugs, the programs will not be eliminated. Maybe the funding may be reduced. So I can't personally tell people not to give themselves essentially a pay raise or put money back in their pocket. So that's my position on it, personally.
Okay, and from my point of view, I have a big problem with the fact that the way it was done mostly, that they put a tax on top of a tax. I think that's wrong. I think that they had some common sense and they really wanted to raise the alcohol tax. They should have raised the tax. So I guess I'm kind of saying, in principle, I can't support it. I will not support it. In terms of raising the additional money, you know, the programs that Steve mentioned have been funded in the past, and if it is a priority, then those funds, other things in the state budget should be reduced to continue their funding. So that's my position on question 1.
Question 2 is again a repeal of 40B, which is the Affordable Housing Statute, which has been in place, I think, since around 1969 or thereabouts, a little bit over 40 years. 40B has been responsible for 58,000 affordable housing units since its inception. There is no doubt it's been responsible for 80% of all housing that has taken place in suburban communities. since its inception of affordable units. If we were to repeal this act, there is no doubt that the amount of affordable housing units that would be built in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts going forward would be significantly reduced. While it has imposed a significant burden on local communities, of which I've spent hundreds and hundreds of hours negotiating with developers over the last 5 to 10 years, of all the 40B units and applications that have come into through our front door here, it still is a very worthwhile program. If we leave it to local suburban communities to institute some sort of affordable housing bylaws, it hasn't happened traditionally. I don't anticipate that it would, because nobody wants these types of developments in their backyard. And I think it's essential that suburban communities assume some sort of responsibility for housing people in their community who are of limited means, rather than shipping out to urban areas. 40B has served a significant and useful purpose. It certainly could use some tweaking. And over the years, we have suggested it from members, as a member of this board, and this board as a whole has suggested suggestions over the years. Not all of them have been implemented, but to scrap it, I think, would be a mistake. And I would urge the community again to vote no on question 2. Just as one proposal that we have in the works and we're seeking grant money for over here off of Chestnut Street could be impacted by this. And all of the candidates for governor have opposed it, and would urge the community to do the same.
Thank you, Steve. Michael?
I'm actually going to vote yes on this particular article, for many different reasons. And, you know, I support 40B and what they've been able to do this far, but I'm going to vote yes because I think it's going to get more and more dangerous because of the quality pieces of lot that are remaining in our town and other towns have gone down. All the good lots have been built on. And so now you have sub-marginal lots of land that these builders are going to be able to come into our towns and bypass ZBA, bypass CPC, and pretty much do what they want to do. And I think it's going to have effect on the communities, on the community as a whole, and especially those neighbors that are nearby when they could just bypass it. I understand the what they're trying to achieve out of 40B, but I think you need to vote yes on this, repeal it, and then hopefully somebody logically will get together and come up with a program that's going to protect the towns. But right now, we are not protected, and I think we take on too much risk if we continue to have 40B being built in our town under the same rules that they have now. And so that's the reason why I'm going to vote yes on Article 2.
Yes. I would not support question 2. I think conceptually it's a good idea. But I think that it puts a burden on the community. It makes it very difficult for us to balance our real estate in such a way to create a community that we want. I've always felt that communities have that right to determine what the community is going to grow to be. And when you have outside influence, such as the state, dictating how they feel our community should be, I don't think that's appropriate. So I would not be supporting question 2.
My position on question 2 is that it's a statute that needs to be repealed and reenacted in a different form for the following reasons. One, it's a statute which you find from community to community that developers are using as a sword to hang over communities' heads to get certain developments into towns that they otherwise would not be able to do. So it's a statute that needs to be reworked. As an example, we have right down the street here what was originally proposed and estimated to be about 9 students would come out of those units over there. I believe the last count was somewhere around 30 students are now coming out of the development just down the street from us here this evening. So if you just, I'm sorry? A school committee member that corrects me, and actually it's more than 30, it's 32 students are now coming out of those apartments, 400 units down the street. So if you just consider what's the cost is to educate a student on an annual basis in this town is about $9,000. Whatever we earned out of that particular development down there will be outstripped in a matter of a few years. So in light of that,